Hey, and just like that, yes, it is 9 in the UK. So, of course, that means it's UK Cowboys time. Welcome, everybody. It's season 2, episode 126, a review of week 1 of training camp. Yes, football is officially back. I'm so happy. Now, as you can see, we've got the double jeopardy of the Scottish contingent, the iron and the brew, as we say. But joining us from Cowboys Fan Only, he's been on the 24-hour show that we did back in April. We have the great, the Mr. Tuck with us. How are you doing, brother? We can see you in sunny Vegas.
Thank you guys for the red carpet. Yeah, actually, I'm actually here in Las Vegas, great Las Vegas, Nevada, the home of, the 2022, I guess, or 2022 NFL draft. So having a good time out here in Vegas. I will actually be out in Oxnard tomorrow morning covering Dallas Cowboys camp, man. So I'm excited. But like you said, football season is finally here. I can't believe we made it, man.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah, way too long. My only question is, you don't have to give an exact figure, but how much have you won on red so far?
I haven't bet on red, but I've been playing roulette. So I'm actually up right now. I was up $168 last night. But then, as Paul and Mike, you guys kind of know, I've been heavily into soccer right now. So I took all of that and I betted all on the USA men's team tonight to beat. I think they're playing like Qatar or something like that, and also Mexico in the CONCACAF Cup. So I put all my money on soccer tonight, so I'll make things a little bit more interesting. But I'm currently up on roulette. So.
Yeah. Well, like we said, when the Cowboys come to the UK, we're gonna make sure we take you to a Premier League match. I know you've been looking forward to that. Few beers, big celebration from what we talked about before. We're not going to go down that road, but yeah, it is looking nice out there. When you came on, I was looking into the background. I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, so you see the MGM Grand and then New York. I'm actually at New York right now, but you can see the kind of roller coaster and everything, man. So it's a great day. Actually, I was just at the pool a second ago, so having a great time. Yeah, I was gonna do the live stream from the pool, but the music was too loud. I was like, let me come.
See, that's just ultimate trolling for our good friends here, right? Honestly, it's just ultimate trolling. The fact that we can't fly over to the States yet, and we have to just witness it. God damn it!
You guys have to come out here next year for the NFL draft, man. It's definitely an experience. Like Vegas is one of those places, like my favorite place to actually visit here. So.
Yeah. The only trouble is I'm worried that if we all come over and we join you, it ends up like a new episode of The Hangover where one of us gets stuck on the roof.
Oh, it absolutely will. It absolutely will. I think the draft is going to be a few hangover stories, but it's okay if we get back on the flight and get back to the UK. We'll be all right.
Yeah, everybody's asking and going, so where's Chuck gone? Where's Ty? And we'd be like, I don't know. And we find you in the boot of a police car or something.
Well, the funny thing I always say, because initially the draft last year was supposed to be in Vegas. And I cannot fathom being out here in Vegas and the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb. I'd probably still get lost. I gotta probably be out there.
I honestly cannot imagine myself what I'd be like in Las Vegas. I'm bad enough going to Newcastle, not to mention Las Vegas. So
lots of drinking, lots of partying, lots of fun, man. I'm already full Jack in this morning. It's just 1 o'clock. Just 1 o'clock.
What's funny is that people don't know, but I just sent a message and I was just like, I'll let you know this is the time and everything. I get a message back and I'm like, what time is it then? You're like 5 a.m. I'm like, what are you doing up at this time? Like, I'm just chilling. And I was like, yeah, you're like, he's in Vegas. He's in Vegas. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is true. But what we'll do is we'll get into the show, guys, and we'll talk. And we always start every episode, although this one is a news and update show anyway. But we've got our news and updates, which really is just going to be a rundown of the injury report that's come out over the last week. Add some others if you want, guys. But the big one, of course, was over the last 24 hours was the Dak issue with his shoulder. Went for an MRI because of the soreness. Today he has been there, limited. I don't know if you've got anything further on it, Tuck, but I know for ourselves, it's come out here that Mike McCarthy said he's limited. There's no real deep issues there. And Dak has made his own comments too.
Yeah, exactly. So James Slater interviewed Dak yesterday after practice, and Dak said there's no, really concerns as far as you just want to be precautionary with the injury because, if there's some kind of soreness, you don't want to continue to throw and throw. So he's actually out there on the practice field today as we speak. Yeah. Of course, he's been throwing with his left hand, so it's being like a more precautionary measure out there. But I don't feel concerned. Now, of course, mainstream media, they're going to run a story into the ground. Like, I see he's going to miss the first 3 games of the season. I was like, pump your brakes. Cowboys fans don't need to be alarmed. I think it's just one of those things you need to focus on to make sure that he doesn't go into the season lingering any injuries. We know in 2019, he kind of had some shoulder issues at the end of the season, so maybe this is something that's kind of reoccurring. But it happens with quarterbacks across the NFL. I mean, major league pitchers, when you're using your arm that much, there's going to be some muscle soreness. So you just got to protect it and be smart with it, which I think the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy will be.
Yeah. And when it comes to your top guy, especially when you're paying him all that money, you want to make sure he's well rested and all the rest of it. A big one as well that came out yesterday. I don't know if you've seen the video. I've never seen anything like it. Was the Michael Gallup fence flip. He took a deep ball down, went over the fence at the end of the end zone, tweaked his ankle. Good news is it's nothing serious. I don't know if there's any more that's come out again. Is there any news on that? Or is it just where it sits?
Yeah, I think where he sits, he had a tweak of the ankle, but it really shows like the Cowboys' mindset. Like I said, because when you think about that play, Michael Gallup did not need to catch that ball, but he went the extra mile to make sure he secured the catch, flipped over the fence or whatnot. Now, for Cowboys fans, we probably all had a mild heart attack when we saw that, but it shows the mindset of a lot of Cowboys players out there that they're wanting to finish the play. I mean, you go back to even the play with CeeDee Lamb, the one-handed catch that everyone's going, crazy about. So the Cowboys players are out there, they're wanting to finish plays and go the extra mile. Now for Michael Gallup, he kind of went over the fence, but luckily it's just kind of a minor tweak. No concerns there as far as the injury for the ankle.
Yeah, which is good news. Jordan Lewis as well. He pulled a hammy yesterday. So waiting for him to come back. Zach Martin, the same thing again with the ankle. Mitch Hyatt's been moved to IR, which we'll get to in a minute, the reasons behind that. We are still waiting for news on Tristan Hill, Chauncey Golston, Greg Zerline, and TJ Vasher. They are doing their thing still at the moment. Bradley and I's been doing some cord work. And Cooper Rush is back after a back injury. Apart from that, we've had 2 other sign-ins, which we'll get straight into to start things off. But the only other thing I wanted to add is I did ask the question for about a rough timeline, and here's one for you as well, Tuck, is Amari Cooper and Tank as well. They are currently on PUP. Their timeline, they reckon, is going to be around about preseason game number 2. So, but I mean, you can say what you want with it, but at the end of the day, for me, if there's 2 guys, you're not going to be too concerned about having to do preseason work. It's Amari Cooper and Lawrence.
Lawrence. Yeah, exactly. So I think that preseason game, which is technically, I think it's the Texans, maybe their first home preseason game. I think that's where you'll see a lot of the players actually play. Don't expect to see a lot of players playing in the Hall of Fame game or the first game, preseason game. But I think, that'll be the dress rehearsal for the Cowboys. And as long as they're ready to go into Tampa, that's the main focus for Cowboys fans, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not going to be out for week 1. It's impossible by the way things are looking. Yeah. And, the big thing for both of those guys, and as well, from what I've heard, is Lawrence, his back, it's not a back injury. He had back surgery, and I don't know what it means because I'm not a doctor and I'm not that intelligent, but it was a cleanup operation is what they said.
Exactly. More clean up for Marcus Lawrence, and also what Tyron Smith went through last year as well. So it's kind of cleaning those things up and make sure that you're as healthy as possible going into the season. So I don't see any red flags with either Cooper or also DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, agree. But let's get into it then, guys. So the first thing off the deck was we've had 2 big sign. Well, we've had 1 big signing and 1 depth signing. We'll get into the first one first, which was Kyron Brown. He's been given a 2-year deal. This is a guy who's an undrafted free agent for the Jets back in 2019. I've gone back and checked. The guy's played in that time 3 games, had 7 targets, 4 completions, made 5 tackles and missed 1. QBR rating of 75, which is usually the thing I go to, but the sample size is so small. I mean, it's pointless looking statistically at him. For me, I think this is a case of the Cowboys got to camp. We all know it. They know it too. The cornerback depth was small, so they brought somebody in. I don't know what you guys make of it. I'll let you all speak on this one now.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just adding more depth, I suppose, more bodies to more competition, pretty much. Just as pretty much the more simplified answer towards that, I think. I mean, it's not really necessarily a big name as we, and you talk about the stats and stuff like that. We don't barely, it's very small sample, so I think it's just a body more to bring in more competition because we still don't know what we're going to do, who's going to be the second stringers or anything like that. Not even we can't even guarantee who cornerback number 2 is going to be yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You got Greg?
Just going to agree with that. I mean, there's very, very young in secondary, so if they can go with the best 5, basically they're trying to give themselves as many options as possible. So I guess if he wants to come in and figure into the mix and dislodge one of the other rookies, maybe one of the later round draft picks, all for that competition. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, bringing him in was more about a depth body for camp. Because we're seeing the injuries are starting to mount, whether it's serious injuries or just hamstrings or quads. Those minor injuries start to add up as you go on through camp and starting to get work to that week 1 game. And so I think there's an extra player to kind of bring in, so that way you're not, pushing Trayvon Diggs to the limit and pushing Kelvin Joseph to the limit, and also Nation Wright and some of those core guys that you're really going to need out there. Jordan Lewis, who you've already mentioned, is at a slight injury as well. So you want to kind of get some other bodies out there. You've got to practice against somebody. So I think that's the reason why he was brought in. Now, the reason why he got a 2-year deal, I'm not sure the reason. He got a 2-year deal versus the 1-year deal. So that's something we'll definitely have to keep an eye on. But as far as the impact guy, I don't see it coming out the gate. Like you said, Mike, he's very improving as far as where he stands in his career.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of the contract, we're still waiting for details on it. The only reason I can think of the 2-year deal is just to spread whatever sort of contract bank, whatever his signing bonus was, is to try and spread that out a bit. That's the only reason I can think, and to load it at the front. But here it is. And we have been making comments on this. The oh lordy comments. Oh lordy. So Malik Hooker, the Cowboys finally look at safety. Now, they went in the off-season and spoke to Malik Hooker. A lot of people in our group were making comments, well, why didn't they sign to begin with? For me personally, I think this is a wheel around. That they went the first time, there was an Achilles issue and all the rest of it. And I think he was going through some medical tests or what have you. And I think the Cowboys set a date, maybe, perhaps camp, maybe later, who knows. And I think this is just a wheel around where they've come back and gone, right, we'll start here and we'll go through it again. At first, before I get into the details on Malik Hooker, how do you all feel the Cowboys have finally addressed? This year, they've taken 2 free agent safeties. How does that make you feel?
It's a step in the right direction, that's for sure. We still don't. I mean, are we going to get the Malik Hooker that came out in his stellar rookie season? Because we knew we kind of slightly deteriorated, but that's mainly because of injuries and stuff like that. But still, though, the potential is there. He could make like the guys, and when he's in his best day, he's an absolute ball hawk, man. So I'm happy about it. The fact that we're actually addressing a position that's been neglected for so long, and I mean, I don't know what else to really comment on it.
Go on, Gray. I know you like to talk safeties.
I do like to talk safeties. Yeah, it's one of the enigmas that we have to go through. I just wonder if there's a little bit of contract situation around signing them now. Like he actually wanted to get into a team during training camp rather than join somebody in the regular season. Maybe his contract demands have come down a little bit just so he can get onto a roster.
It could be that too.
And they've aligned just nicely. That they're happy with the injury history. didn't play that much for the Colts last year, but that's down to injury. So again, when you're not going after the Pro Bowlers at safety, you kind of have to deal with injury history and all that kind of stuff. That's why these guys aren't sought after on day one of free agency. So if we can keep him healthy and if he can get on the field, then I can't wait to see him because he's a well-recognized name and we need all the help we can get at the safety position.
I mean, just to add on top of that, I'm just looking at his stats like to the end of 2020. Total 124 tackles, 11 pass deflections, 7 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries. I mean, that's a safety that's doing that. But over the course of 3 years, but still, that's still quite impressive when you do kind of think about it. It's something that when have we ever seen those type of numbers from a safety, and through across the spectrum, you know?
Yeah, and what I always say when it comes to safeties is it's very much like defensive tackles, like your 3 and your 1 techs. It's what you don't see on the statistic sheets that are most important with them. I can see you nodding there, tech, so you know where I'm coming from. It's because it's kind of like a little bit of a selfless position where the Byron Jones is a good example to go back to. People complain about he didn't get interceptions, not many tackles. Because he's shutting things down.
Exactly. That's a brilliant example, Mike. Because I always thought Byron should always be in the corner, but when he was moved back to corner, you saw the difference. Nobody wanted to pass in his direction. It's but it's the reason because he keeps shutting out wide receivers, so there's no need for him making all these big massive plays if he's cancelling out all these wide receivers and just killing plays. So there you go. That's what you want.
It doesn't show up on the stat sheet sometimes, the important ones. But give me.
So just to add on top of it, but you know what it makes a great cornerbacks by doing that? Great D line, getting stats, getting to the quarterback.
Exactly.
He's still only 25 as well.
I know.
Former first round pick, so the pedigree's there. If he can shake the injuries, then we might have a find on our hands, definitely.
That is it, because go on, Tech. Before we get into his history, what was it? Well, I know you're excited, but how do you feel about the Hooker signing?
I'm extremely excited for bringing in Malik Hooker. If you follow me on Twitter at JTuck151, I was tweeting Malik Hooker hey man, come join us. I sent him a message 3 days prior before the news kind of broke, come join us. And I think from all Cowboys fans' perspective, we've been wanting a safety for so long now. DeMonte Casey, he's decent in his own right, but I still wasn't feeling comfortable, especially with him coming off the injuries. And I know that in the offseason, they had the conversations between Casey or Hooker. So I think that Casey's medicals checked out a lot better than Hooker's. But when you're looking at just a pure player perspective who can really change the impact of a game, Hooker is that guy. And I feel like Stephen Jones, he got what he wanted. A low investment with a great upside. And I feel like Malik Hooker is definitely that investment because if he turns out to be what he was pre-injuries, well, even right now, he's coming off the injury, we've upgraded the safety position drastically. But if he turns out to be what he was just in 2019, that's a huge boost to our defense. And if you think about the Dan Quinn scheme, we run a lot of cover 3, a lot of single high safety. And with these younger corners, you want a guy back there who's aware of what's going on, who can actually change the game. And now quarterbacks have to be aware of who's back there, right? Because last year you had Xavier Woods, and I doubt many quarterbacks were we got Xavier Woods back there, whatever. Just run the play as fit. So, but now that you have Malik Hooker and also DeMonte Casey back there, you have to be semi-aware of what's going on in the secondary, which can change things a lot. So I'm excited about bringing Malik Hooker. I was kind of waiting till the ink was officially dry. That's why I wasn't getting excited about it, because Stephen Jones had the opportunity to kind of blow this away. But once he signed, man, I'm excited to see him coming out there. And the fact that he's wearing the number that he's wearing, Cowboys fans.
The Don in the 28. We did post 28. That. Very, very early. But yeah, I mean, some of the things that I was looking at, but I mean, it is quite ironic that one of the things I noticed was from the very first day of camp, and the Cowboys were out there, they're running drills, offense were having day 1 and day 2, pretty much a field day. And straight away, from the first day of camp, you were getting reports of Malik Hooker's in town. He's being interviewed and he's getting medical checks, and it is kind of funky. But I'm going to wheel back to KZ because it's quite funny how it worked out. But I suppose I'll ask our very special guest first. What is it that is his best traits? If you go, you look at what he's done so far in the NFL and college as well. What are the best things that he does so well? His positives.
I think that the thing that Malik Hooker brings to this Dallas Cowboys defense is he's great in space, sideline to sideline. He can also come down and make tackles as well. But also, he's just a playmaker. He's just a natural football player. I feel like what we've been missing for so long, especially with the safety position, just people who have ball awareness. All right, the ball's in the air, go track it down, go get it, go make a play. We necessarily didn't have that with Xavier Woods and also Darian Thompson, who's still on the roster, or I don't know. But we just didn't kind of have those guys back there for so long. And so what Malik Hooker brings is just natural football instincts in that safety position. And like you said, Graham, he's so young, he's only 25. And so he can really turn out to be one of those corner central guys that we can add to his defense who can be a Cowboy for quite some time. So we have to see how things work out. Like I said, but if the injury shapes out and he's still of himself from 2019 pre-injury, we got a dang good steal by bringing Malik Hooker in for a safety position.
Yeah, and again, another former first round. Dan Quinn really seems to enjoy them. But yeah, I like what you were saying. The instincts are there. That was the big thing.
Right.
I forget who he was with. Who was he with before Ohio State?
I'll tell you right now. He was with
not Akron.
No, he was what? Oh God, hold on.
This is really annoying. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's hitting my brain. Right. Anyway, he exploded on the scene there. But it was his instincts there. But the big one for me as well that I love is his change of direction. But the big one is how he can contort his body in the air. Like, like them circus reel interceptions that you see. If you go to his highlight reel and you see the interceptions, you see him manipulating his body in the air, the body control and the way he moves. I mean, it's almost unhuman. I completely love it. The circus style catches are what pop out straight away.
And you need, that out there. You need that.
And I think the big thing for Cowboys fans as well is that all we've been asking for is for a safety. We haven't even been asking for a great safety, just an adequate one. Nothing wrong with Jeff Heath, by the way. Jeff Heath, totally fine. Before we go down there was nothing wrong with Barry either. But you just think that, like, we've just been sort of picking at the bone with things. And Cowboys fans are going, look, if the D-line's not great, give us great defensive backs. Work something out. And it doesn't seem to have worked out that way yet. But hopefully with Kazee and with Hooker, we'll get, you're hoping from, if both, or at least one, to catch lightning in the bottle there.
Exactly.
Is there anything that concerns you with some of his style of play? Because he can be quite handsy, if you like, raising flags and penalties. That's the big thing I noticed. And his tackling skills, a lot of arm tackles. Any of that concerning to you guys?
Well, considering last season there was non-stop for all the other players that was on the field, so it makes no makes no goddamn difference right now.
Exactly.
That's one way to look at it, mate.
Even if he's doing an arm tackle, that means he's somewhere around the play. That's an upgrade right there. So. No, I don't.
Wait. Are you saying arm tackle like a clothesline?
He's going to be in the vicinity, right? I feel like Cowboys fans, we will not have, you can't go 100% of the time with Malik Hooker type comments. So that's an upgrade there. But I feel like, even the hands approach, sometimes the arm tackling, that's going to be what Dan Quinn also, with Witt and some of the coaching staff are going to work on. So there's always going to be things you can fix with, any play, offense or defensively. So I feel like once Dan Quinn's able to bring this guy in-house and, he puts pads on out there, they're going to work to clean some of those things up. But I'm not concerned personally.
Yeah. I don't know what – I mean, the big one for me as well, and I'll let you guys speak on this, is the injury concerns, though. So Achilles last year, he got injured the year before, and he's had issues with, I believe it was rotator cuff. I might be wrong, but he had injuries in college as well. any of this concerning to you guys, especially for the defensive back position when you're talking feet and Achilles?
It's got to be. It's got. I mean, for me, that's the main reason why he has only just signed with the team this year. We've gone through pretty much the whole of free agency and the draft, and he hasn't been snapped up by a team. There's obviously concern there, but I think there must be something to do with the contract situation as well as the physical situation, because I think he's signed now because he has to go on. He wants onto a team by training camp. But if there were no injury concerns, he would have signed for somebody in March. You know, it would have happened. So to get him on the deal that we've presumably got him on, which will be relatively team friendly, there's got to be a reason for that, and it is the injury. That's just what we have to roll the dice with.
Well, just to think in that perspective as well, wasn't Malik's initial rookie contract like a 4-year contract? He was initially cut. Is that right? So therefore, the reason I'm kind of saying that is like rather than just finishing off your rookie contract and then go over a bit, because there was the injury concerns from Indianapolis. That's why they actually were saving more. So I think what you're now saying now, Graham, having a team friendly deal, like I think there's a lot of it is all down to this injury, the injury concerns. So
my understanding is that the Colts didn't take his 5th-year option. I think the 5th-year option had started by then. That came out by the time he was playing. So they obviously have concerns. They've decided to move on from Hooker. Hopefully for us, that's a huge mistake. But there's only one way to find out, is by keeping him healthy and keeping him on the field. So hopefully he gives us a huge contribution.
Sorry, when I said 3rd year, I mean 4th year. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think whenever you're dealing with an Achilles, especially for a player who's depending on lateral movement, there has to be some hesitation, which could be the reason why we're just signing him right now. But from a Cowboys perspective, I feel like now, since we have kind of both of what we went after with, Hooker and also KZ back there, we have an insurance policy in case something goes wrong with either or. So, like I said, it's really, a minimal investment the Cowboys made by getting Malik Hooker, especially right now, versus if they would have signed him, back in March or earlier on. And so I feel like right now he wants to kind of prove himself, earn his next contract. So we'll definitely see how that works out. But with Achilles, you just never know, because sometimes it could be just a simple, you're walking and your Achilles might just pop the wrong way. And so you definitely have to be aware of that we do have an insurance policy, at least this year, with KZ, because I know Paul was on the draft show with us in the start game. We wanted a safety in the draft and Trayvon Moore. We let the Raiders go.
Oh yeah, we wanted Moore so bad. So
at least Cowboys Nation, we finally got a point across that we need to address the safety positions. I feel like Stephen Jones and the front office, they really understand that we need to bring in a safety. Now, watching camp earlier on, I saw a lot of rotation, whether it was KZ or you had J-Ron Curse out there. And then we also drafted Mukwamu. I'm not sure if you guys seen him, but he looks huge in pass. Like, he looks like a giant compared to most safeties. And so, I think that we're going to have some of these guys in kind of rotation, but we do have some insurance policies in case that Malik Hooker doesn't work out injury-wise. But I'm optimistic that he will. So, knock on wood.
Yeah. But yes, they are some very decent signs. We're going to keep a close eye, because I think at this stage with Malik Hooker, they're going to be taking things slow, taking things easy on him. Go on,
Just to add something to the top, I know I may be jumping ship, but it's
go for it.
DJ Dodd actually made a really good, interesting comment. We're in a similar situation when it comes to LVE right now.
You're right.
No, because of his neck. So it's like what the Colts did with Hooker. It's like just makes us kind of think. I'm just kind of spitballing it out there. So sorry.
No, that's good. It is a good point, and we will get to LVE because I have a take on him. But let's look, guys, so far at players that have stood out to you on offense, because so far it's been a split camp. At the start of it seemed to be the offense were running wild. Lately, in the last 2 days, the defense have fired. I mean, they're coming out of the blocks.
Big time.
Oh, yeah. But I want to start at the very top. A guy who I think is going to feature very heavily in Hard Knocks, featuring Dallas Cowboys this year, the one and only. So the guy who's standing out the most to me at the moment and seems to be Dak's new safety blanket, CeeDee Lamb. This guy is just a pure highlight machine. Anybody want to go on the CeeDee Lamb narrative right now? Because there's just so much to talk about.
Called it last week. No concerns over CeeDee Lamb. No sophomore slump. The guy looks like a linebacker, and I absolutely love it.
Everything I said about when we drafted CeeDee Lamb, I am eating that with humble pie for the rest of my life.
Yes, that's right. You was quite unhappy with the pick. I do remember.
I was originally.
Paul.
But listen, like originally, I was so like we need a defensive lineman. I'm just because I'm a pure defensive guy. I said we need defense. Like we've already had Cooper, we already had Gallup, so we don't need a wide receiver. But by God, oofed. He's like I didn't realize the some of the stuff he can do and the dynamics of what Lamb can bring to the table. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, so, I tell you something. Two things I can absolutely guarantee will be on Hard Knocks with CeeDee Lamb. I don't know if you've seen it as well, Tech. They were throwing balls at CeeDee, and he was sort of like catching them with one hand and throwing them up and then catching them with the next. I'm trying to remember. There was another player that tried to do it and couldn't quite do it, was messing himself up. But there was a big one that is definitely going to be on there. CeeDee Lamb with a circus deep field catch against Reggie Robinson, and they got into it.
It's like the backhand catch.
Him and Robinson. Yeah, they had a bit of an argument on whether it was pass interference, but yeah, there was a bit of a not a fight.
Tomato, like who cares? Like,
yeah. But I mean, guys, if you just want to hear any particular highlight with CeeDee Lamb right now, because I mean, like it used to be, Jason Witten was Romo's safety blanket, and when Jason Witten was with Dak, Jason Witten was Dak's safety blanket. It seems to be now that shifted to CeeDee Lamb. And I mentioned back in our positional series, I wanted to see this year CeeDee Lamb be the dog, want to be that alpha, because that's what he's supposed to be. He was the alpha wide receiver in that draft. Now I want to see him to be that in this team. Do you think that's starting to expose itself now?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I said, man, if we were out here in Vegas last year when we drafted CeeDee Lamb, I'd probably still be out there swimming the Bellagio water, man. Because I was one of those guys. I said last year, in the draft, like my very first video on my channel was me predicting the Cowboys drafting CeeDee Lamb. So I was high on CeeDee Lamb last year, kind of how I was on Pitts this year, man. But CeeDee Lamb is just different. And I call it a flag for. I said CeeDee Lamb's a top 5 wide receiver the moment the Cowboys drafted him because he can do so much. And then what you're kind of seeing right now is him starting to emerge. Because he didn't have a preseason camp last year. He didn't have preseason OTS. You were trying to see him like that last year. So he's starting to emerge. You see his body, man. He's starting to grow. And then the one thing I really say about CeeDee Lamb, and he said this in his interview the other day on 105.3 The Fan, like who's been the most influential as far as his career is concerned since he's been here in Dallas. And he said the other 88, Dez Bryant, like Dez Bryant kind of took him under the wing. And so I think, Mike, when you kind of asked that question about him emerging to the alpha, I think that Dez is starting to push that, like, hey, you're 88, you're part of a historical bloodline here in Dallas. Go be that guy. And I always compare CeeDee Lamb to kind of like, if you ever watched the cartoon show The Incredibles, he's kind of like Jack. Like last year, he was just a baby, but he didn't know how powerful he really is. And I said, this year he's gonna look around the field and feel like I'm one of the most powerful players out here on this field right now and completely take over. So I'm 1,000% in on CeeDee Lamb. I was last year. I had him as a number 1 wide receiver. I have him as this year and moving so on. CeeDee Lamb is just a different type of player that we have here on this offense. And so when you see, and then you saw when he made the catch, he didn't act surprised. He didn't celebrate. He's just like, oh, just like,
it just shrugged the shoulders. It's like, nah, whatever. It's a catch.
One-headed catch, toe tap. It is what it is. Let's go run the next play. And like that's the great thing that CeeDee Lamb brings to this offense, man. So I'm definitely ecstatic about CeeDee Lamb. He's my favorite player on the roster, actually.
Yeah, and what you can't forget as well is his role in punt returns. I think they're using him on punt returns the way he's looking.
No, that's where I'll throw up the X and like get CeeDee Lamb off of punt returns.
Yeah,
I'm going back and forth with this. Like,
no. I totally agree, Tuck. I totally agree.
It's never good having your first round receiver on punt return.
Not at all.
But what I will say, they ran a drill. It was either yesterday or today. They ran a drill called the bad ball drill, where the ball is thrown around the receiver's knee, and CeeDee Lamb's hands just look so natural. He made it so simple, as if it was around the numbers. The ball was coming at him. Is it too early to say that CeeDee Lamb has the best hands on the team? Is that getting carried away? Because I don't think it is.
No, it's not carried away. I think it's a natural fact.
He had said that last year, that when he trains, he makes sure that his quarterback, wherever he's training with, throws worst balls possible. Like, how can I get that job? I can throw some bad balls. But they throw like bad balls because it comes like second nature where he can catch these balls. So you saw the play last year versus Minnesota when he twisted his body. Like, I've never seen a receiver do that. As much as everyone was talking about the Odell catch, I'm like, I still don't know how CeeDee Lamb caught that pass last year against the Vikings, but he practices it. It sort of becomes like muscle memory for him. So, Graham mentioned the bad balls, like he's used to that, catching low balls, catching high balls, a variety of different things. And he spoke on what he wanted to focus on this year, which is yards after the catch. And that's why he wanted to put on more size and more strength so he can break tackles. And so I'm all in on CD going to the season.
Because that's a really good point as well on his size and his shape, because he is in shape.
It's no longer a wee twig anymore. He's definitely filled out a bit more.
Well, even last year, he took some big hits. I was like, he got up and was just like, I'm like, okay, oh, wow. All right, man. So, for him to put on some more size, like I said, and get a full OTAs, preseason, and full season under Dak Prescott, you got to be excited about what CeeDee Lamb's going to bring to Dallas.
It's funny that you mentioned about like the size and stuff like that, Mike, because when we first saw CeeDee Lamb when he was pretty much drafted in, he wasn't that far off than the frame of what John Ross was. Really lanky, but now he's really put on proper size, he's filled out to be more of a pro athlete now, which is exactly what you want now. And like everyone here, I'm sure we all can agree, I think this is going to be his coming out party this year.
The alpha's coming out for sure, I don't mind him doing the punts. I get the reasons why with the injuries and all the rest of it, because they can be volatile plays. But do you know what I want to do? We're all talking about how excited we are with CeeDee Lamb. Well, just give him the ball. Let him make plays. The Cowboys, believe it or not, scored a touchdown last year off a kickoff. It was the first time they'd done it in 11 years. That was CeeDee Lamb who scored that touchdown.
Yeah, he was supposed to go down too, and he took it to the house.
Yeah, he was. And he just kept going.
Get the end zone, CD, but so.
Go on, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I would put one of these younger guys on punt return, but it's Simi Fioco, Tony Pollard, somebody out there that's more disposable than CeeDee Lamb.
I do get it.
Even with the lingering injuries of Cooper, is something, Lord forbid, was happening to CD, I can't afford that, especially on punt return. So a lot of people on Twitter you're scary. Absolutely, you protect your investment. If you buy a brand new sports car, you're not helping people, whole moving luggage and stuff like that. No, you protect your investment. And CeeDee Lamb on punt returns, you have so many people in the house that can do the same job. Heck, even Bossman Fat return kicks, put him back there. But I'm not putting CeeDee Lamb by any means.
Yeah. But talking of guys that look in trim, I want to go to the O-line. Tyrone Smith and Lyle Collins.
Ooh.
Shred. For guys that are supposed to be 300 pound, they do not look 300 pound.
Oh, not at all.
I'm about half that, and I look awful.
I know. Right? Well, it's funny when I posted the picture of Lyle, a few months ago when he was kind of training. People were like, "Oh, he still looks fat." I'm like, he does not to be able to see abs on a guy 300 pounds. It's crazy. Lyle and Tyron Smith look in incredible shape, and then the play that CeeDee Lamb caught. Everyone focused their eyes on the catch, but if you watch the play, what Tyron Smith did to Randy Gregory, who had an outstanding camp, he just pretty much slapped Randy Gregory just out the play with one hand.
Yeah.
And so like to have Tyron Smith back, Zach Martin, Lyle Collins, got to be excited about our offense.
That was the thing I was most excited. We spoke last week about what we were most excited about. My thing was seeing the O-line back together, and we've seen it.
I don't want to put a damper, but I do still have my concerns. I still do, because it's more who comes in place if one of them goes down. That's my only concern. But as long as those guys, as long as Smith, Martin, Collins all stay fit, we're rolling. We're rolling.
Never predict injuries, mate.
Yeah. We had enough last year, Paul. We had enough.
I'm just speaking based on year by year basis.
But I mean, generally, the O line overall has just been looking great. Even Connor McGovern has been balling out. He's been. He looks in good shape. He's solid. He's been safe. You can say what you want about McGovern. Yeah. He's been all right so far. Connor Williams as well, been doing some work at center. We get the reasons why. You can totally understand. And it is very, very typical of Mike McCarthy to do that with his guards. And talking to Mike McCarthy, breaking news, Aaron Rodgers re-signed just now.
Nah.
The contract negotiations.
Our great trade, it's like the Broncos or something. But,
the whole Green Bay situation is just like, wow, what the hell, man? What the hell?
Can you guys think of that divisional playoff game where we have to go to Green Bay and it's Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers? Like the NFL wants that story. So fine, let's do it. Let's do it. All right.
But I mean, there are some battles that have been brewing, right? The first one I want to touch on is the tight end position.
Yeah.
Dalton Schultz comes out, has an absolute stormer. They did a 2-minute drill, and Dalton Schultz back to back, beating out Keanu Neal twice. Look really, really good. Timing on his routes, look absolutely fantastic. Next day, they give him a rest. Blake Jarwin comes in, absolutely blows it up. We even posted a picture of Blake Jarwin making the big catch. Yeah, that amazing catch. There's a hell of a battle.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think? Who wins the battle, and how good is this for the Cowboys in terms of 12-man personnel? Because they love to run the 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
No, on you go, Tuck. On you go, mate.
Yeah, I think this is definitely offensively the battle that we're all watching is Dalton Schultz versus Blake Jarwin. Now, we've all kind of been high on Blake Jarwin since he came out of Oklahoma State, but the best ability, as my guy Nick would say, is ability. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, and so you're starting to see Dalton Schultz emerge because he got a full season pretty much last year. We saw him go to Kittle camp, and he was training with Kelsey and Kittle and some of those guys. And so he's starting to kind of find his footing. And last year, he did his job. I feel like, going through everything we went through last year, Dalton Schultz definitely did his job as far as the Titans are concerned without Dak Prescott. And so, as you mentioned, going into 12 personnel, to have two different dynamic tight ends out there on the field at both times can really help. But as far as tight end one, it's going to remain to be unseen. It's going to be like, what does Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy think? And right now, I can't really – it sounds like if you're keeping score – that right now that Dalton Schultz is currently up a few points because he had a full season last year. He's out to a great start at camp, and Blake Jarwin's coming off an injury, still trying to emerge. But we'll definitely keep our eye on how that shapes out.
Yeah.
For me, I think Schultz is definitely has carried on what he was doing from last year straight into camp, 100%. He's continued that momentum. For Blake, he knows he needs to kind of come back in because he knows he's on the higher earned contract in terms of being in the he was given that 3-year contract, in comparison. Tuck's just disappeared.
I'm gonna grab my phone charger because my phone's about to die. 1 second, guys.
No, sorry. Go on. Keep talking, Paul.
Right, so Christ, I was going to say there. So with Jarwin, we're being on a bigger contract.
Yeah.
I think he needs to. I think he knows himself. He needs to step up and still try and win the actual tight end number 1 spot because he knows the season that Schultz did with what happened with Dak and the limited quarterback situation, what we had as an offense. Schultz did a great job, I think, overall, to step in for Blake and for Jarwin. Like, he knows he's got competition because his number 2 has stepped up, so both of them are kind of head and head. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the tight end position. But when you say the likes of the 12th man, oh man.
And think of the red zone, using 12 man in the red zone, where that is particularly somewhere where the Cowboys have struggled last year. They were really struggling in the red zone. Get 2 tight ends on there, big body targets that are both balling out. That'll solve that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Paul kind of stole my thunder a little bit. That was the point I was going to make. Because this is a huge season for Jarwin, because next year is the time when the Cowboys can save money on his contract. They can free up just over $4 million on the cap for next year, depending on how tight things are going to be. So by putting in a huge season, it will help keep Jarwin on his current deal, because, like we said, it's no loose change that Jarwin is making now. He was signed to be the guy. So. But it's going to be a fascinating watch, because I fully expect Schultz to push him all the way. And like you say, if we can line up with the 2 tight end sets, it's going to be hugely. I mean, it'll be hugely beneficial for the offense in the red zone. If they can add more options to the red zone, it will certainly help Kellen Moore.
Yeah. So Graham, I think you just solved the question, right? So Stephen Jones can save money, so Jarwin's out.
And once again, the Cowboys have developed a tight end to release into the NFL community. It seems to be all that the Cowboys do.
Right.
We just train them up to
save an extra $4 million.
But the other fight that's quite interesting as well is the 4th wide receiver spot. There's a hell of a battle going on there. I'll ask quickly what you guys think and make it out who it could be. Is it going to be Noah Brown? Is it going to be Cedric Wilson? Is it Malik, who seems to have popped out this last week, Malik Turner? Or do you think it could be, they go down the road of Simi Fehoko? 4th wide receiver spot right now is wide open.
I've not got a clue.
It is so tricky. It's impossible to predict.
We need games. I think we need games to really see the fruits of our labour. Once we start getting into the games, certainly with the Hall of Fame game, that will certainly help clear things up a little bit. Not only will we get to see more of our backups and see who the backup quarterback's going to be, we'll get to see who can fill in, because there's absolutely no challenge to 1, 2, and 3. So they're fighting for 2 spots basically. So the competition is going to be huge, and preseason will be a tasty affair.
I mean, what do you reckon, Tuck? Do you think that it's going to be who's the best wide receiver, or do you think perhaps you're going to see the 4th wide receiver spot be taken by what's the most you can do / Fossil getting involved?
That's the hard part, because Noah Brown and also Turner, like Nick just said, have been out to a great start at camp. But then you have Cedric Wilson, who can kind of your utility guy, can do a little bit of both and also help on special teams. And so who is also really beating the table for, because sometimes special teams will save you. And then you also got to consider, the rookie that we all brought in that a lot of us are high on when it comes to Simi Fehoko. And so that 4th wide receiver spot is really hard to tell what's the Cowboys' mentality, because you look at some of the guys like, Vasher, who we brought in, or Eagles, and some of these other guys that we brought in, they kind of built in that same kind of lean, tall mold. There's a big body, there's a big target. And so what are the Cowboys really thinking when it comes to this wide receiver core? I probably think they'll probably keep 5 or so, but who will be that 4th guy remains to be unseen. We'll have to watch that in preseason. But I feel like even though Noah Brown's off to a great start and also Turner, I would have to give the edge to Cedric Wilson just due to special teams ability as well, because we know that Bones has talked highly about special teams and the importance of it. So it remains to be unseen.
Yeah, and Cedric has had a good camp so far. He's made some nice catches.
Just to add in what DJ Dog just commented there, I'll bring the comment back up. The wide receivers are our kind of going for a tough time, especially for and it's going to be like that for the next couple of days.
Dark out.
So when you put that dynamic into the gate, it's really like whoever this 4 or 5 receivers going to be needs to pull something out the hat to try and make these catches like they're not supposed to be catched. Like, so it's going to be very interesting the next couple of days with camp without Dak participating.
So we've absolutely ripped this episode, and we haven't even got to the defense. So let's rip into it. We'll blast through it, which is the exciting bit. Now, last week we said, what's everybody's thoughts on the player they want to see to be the most critical? Is what we were saying, and I said Randy Gregory. I said, if Randy Gregory has a great year, the Cowboys will have a great year. And so far, this guy is an absolute camp star. One of the coaches said that he's ruining camp for everybody. I mean, for me, this guy is showing exactly what it is. Massive arm length, but he's just, for his size, how low and bendy he can get. I mean, he's even given Tyron Smith fits.
See, here's the thing with Randy Gregory. He was projected to be a top 5 draft pick if it wasn't for the whole drug
issue.
And whatever. And that, this is his first ever proper training camp since he's been with the Cowboys in 5 years.
Mm-hmm. About 5 years.
So, and this is him getting his first proper, starting from OTA straight to training camp. We're seeing a difference. Of him just coming on the field after suspension, whatever. Not even at that. Grady, I'll take this one game as an example. When we played Tampa Bay a couple of years ago, and they absolutely destroyed Jameis Winston, and that was his first game back, and you saw the impact he can do, and that's him without a training camp. Can you imagine? And we're seeing it right now. What he is doing to Tyron Smith, he's making him pissed off, which I'm loving. By the way, I'm loving it. Right? Yeah. Right. So it helps elevate the O line and helps elevate the D line. So that's all good. I'm happy with that. But for Gregory, he is getting there. He is this is the.
I would say he's there.
And I'm excited to see him actually going up against in a preseason game just to get one of those couple of reps just to see the difference.
Yeah. I mean, here's one for you. With him doing so well in camp, would you want to pull the trigger early and re-sign him now?
I think we should because mind the whole talk about who was the guy that we signed last year? Had the first 4 that I can't even remember his name now. Alden Smith. Yeah, mind there was the whole talk. We should get him to a long-term contract. Then after game 5, he completely faded away, and now look what happened. So, but with Gregory, I think that's a completely different circumstances. And I think we can get him in a more team-friendly deal because we stuck our neck out for him all these years. I think he can actually say, it's thank you for putting so much faith in me. All I want to do is play football. And I think they can just come up to a really more team-friendly deal in that circumstance, a more longer-term deal, especially for that.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. And plus, what you don't want to back yourself into the corner is going through another Robert Quinn situation because, we've spoken about it frequently on my show and also on the Star Game show.
Yeah.
With the Dan Quinn scheme, it's going to be a lot shifting towards DeMarcus Lawrence. And so Randy Gregory is going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities, which can equal a lot of sacks. And so if he has a 14, 15 sack season, there's going to be teams out there wanting to toss money his way, which the Cowboys might not be willing to match. And so you want to get the deal done right now. As you mentioned, Paul, get a friendly deal. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, we've invested with you. All the suspensions, we set by your side. That has to be worth some type of value. So I would definitely try to get something done now when it comes to Randy Gregory.
You just said something that I think is very important here. We all talked about D-Law was getting double team and stuff like that. But it's because we did have Quinn at one side and he was getting the production as well. And there was that, was it 2 seasons ago? Yeah, it was 2 seasons ago that happened. But when we've now got Gregory, when you've got that yin and yang at each ends, there's no way you're going to double team just one side of the ball. You need to think about we've all now we finally have a dual defensive end threat from the left and right side of the ball.
We'll sprinkle Parsons in that mix now. So you have to be.
Hey, I'm going to use your segue there. Let's talk about Parsons. This guy is the next one. This is and I got goosebumps right now. I have goosies when we say the word Parsons. Jersey waiting in the mail. I mean, look, this guy is just so amazing.
Sorry, Mike. Bet. I agree, man.
Yeah. We put an over and under on Randy Gregory in the off season. We said 8.5, and some people were saying under. And now camp, there seems to be some more people who have reinvigorated that post and going over. But let's talk Parsons. So first of all, we've seen him worked as the DPR. They've been using him off the edge, but also as a traditional off-ball linebacker. This guy works so hard. Day one of camp, they had to slow him down. They were like, listen, you got to slow down. Whether it's the work he was doing, but they also wear, the monitors and all the rest of it. So whether it's from that, I'm not sure. The thing that stood out to me the most, though, and I'm not sure if you guys have seen this story, he worked one-on-one individually with Tyron Smith, and Tyron Smith is showing him little tweaks, little tips, and he was getting it at the end. And you've seen a very proud Tyron Smith. And I mean, guys, we were talking about CD Lamb being, a highlight reel. Let's talk about the defensive side. Randy Gregory for sure, but Parsons, oof, hit me with it. Your favorite Parsons moments in camp so far? Hit me with it.
When he ripped off the edge for a sack. I thought we were looking at Ryan Shazier. So fast off the line. Incredible to be able to bring somebody from deep. I mean, I don't want to get carried away, but there was a flash of DeMarcus Lawrence in there as well, coming off the edge. So I know that's not the system we're going to run, but it just seemed to be, somebody coming from deep. I don't think we've had that for a while, unless you're sending the odd linebacker and the odd blitz. But his pace is incredible.
Yeah.
If there's two things I want, it's no a particular play, but it's just assessing what Parsons is bringing to the table. One is his ability to get off blocks. That is one of the things I noticed straight off the bat. And there was one play in particular, and I think it was a run play with Zeke. It was going off to I think it was going to the left anyway, but basically he was blocked up. He managed to get off the block, but it was his lateral movement to go and pursue after Zeke after that. I'm like, wow. And he really had, and he closed this, managed to catch up and close the space without him giving up those extra yards. And that and people say, made the tackle, but still, you limit our star running back from gaining more vertical run to gain up those. He had actually forced him to go wide. So it's like that's exactly what you want. If you can limit running backs from taking those extra steps, that's the step in the right direction as well. So I am loving what Parsons is bringing to the table, and what you said as well. It's like him coming off the edge. Jesus,
screaming.
He screams.
Give it to us.
He screams off the edge. There was a play. I think it was the second day of camp. And honestly, if this was a real game, Dak Prescott might still be laid out there on the field because he came hauling off that edge, man. And how fast he comes off with the velocity. Because people understand, like, Micah Parsons was a running back too. Like, he's played running back, he's played defensive end. He's just a pure athlete. And so that's why you're seeing Dan Quinn utilize him in so many different ways. We've seen him running up in, the seam routes with CD Lamb in coverage. We've seen him playing defensive tackle, defensive end, outside linebacker, middle linebacker. Yeah. He's just a weapon of mass destruction. And what I like the most about Micah Parsons is he has a competitive spirit and a will to learn. You see him after practicing, working with Tyron Smith, but also Dan Quinn wanting to learn. There's a whole conversation about him and Coop going to the chess matchup. They said he brought I think it was like Connect Four or Checkers or something. He's like, I bet you can't beat me in this. Like, he just wants to win at all costs. I feel like from the Cowboys standpoint, we really just haven't had a freakish athlete defensively. in quite some time, man. And I feel like he's going to be out there. We spoke about Gregory, DeMarcus Lawrence. Now you have to know where this kid is on the field. I feel like Dan Quinn, initially earlier on, he's going to simplify things. Just go get Tom Brady. That's it. Don't worry about anything else. Go get Tom Brady, put him on his back. And I feel like Micah Parsons is more than capable of doing that. So I'm excited about Micah Parsons, man. Parsons gang, man. We're here.
Hey, and but something you can't deny either, and I'll let you kick in now, Paul, is that he isn't that bad either at pass coverage.
Oh, yeah, he got an interception as well.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, yes, very well. Yep.
What was I say? I was like, Tug, you need to send me one of those T-shirts for sure. But just kind of not going back to my first point in terms of like getting off the blocks. But has anyone seen the video of just the drills that we're doing for the linebackers? You just jam up the dummy.
Yeah.
Like when you compare each linebacker, like Van Der Esch and Jalen, when you see Parsons doing it, it's with pure power and aggression.
Energy.
It's
like he's got a point to prove.
Right. It's not so much. It's not a point to. I don't think it's a point to put. It's just him naturally how explosive it is. Like you're seeing Jalen. He's barely like he's lifting it up, and getting away, but it's not as snappy as you expect. Right. But when you see Micah Parsons doing it, you're like, jeez.
He's a pure football player. Like him and Randy Gregory, the other type of people that they don't have to stretch or warm up. You just toss them out there on the football field, and they can just make plays naturally. Like Micah Parsons has those instincts where he can just use his athleticism and just make things happen. Micah Parsons is what Jalen Smith was supposed to be prior to the injury. Just a natural game changer. And that's why I'm speaking about him in draft. Like if you want a traditional war daddy can impact things, well, Micah Parsons is your guy by far. So I'm excited.
I've got one for Mike. Mike, earlier on in the draft process, you weren't sure about Parsons being so high. Has that been put to bed?
I just said that, but I didn't have a problem drafting him. I just have a problem with drafting a Sam linebacker with a top 10 pick.
The way the Cowboys are going to use him, are you an awful lot?
Oh, definitely, because he is a Swiss Army knife. Yeah. He will be the Swiss Army knife of the defense.
He's a great consolation prize. I know. And Stephen Jones has even said this. They wanted those two corners, one of the two.
Oh yeah,
It's like, all right, to still walk out of that draft and get Micah Parsons, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not going to build the back, build the front. Yeah, and another good place to go on to the side of that is LVE. That guy at will linebacker is looking natural. I mean, he's going sideline to sideline, flow into the ball. I know that this is camp and, it's not full contact and all the rest of it, which is the panic with LVE, is come week one and he takes that first hit or makes that first tackle. But in terms of what he's doing as a will linebacker, man, that is built for him. He's been absolutely perfect there so far. And everywhere the runner's been, he's been exactly where he's needed to be.
Yeah, he's in a contract year.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't take the fifth-year option, so he has been officially put on notice. So we're getting the reaction that we wanted. The only problem is if he has a storming season, we then need to go and get the deal done. Another deal.
I mean, there's that as well, but I'm just kind of happy that he's actually been put more back to where he was back in his rookie season. I don't know why he was kind of shifted about in the first place, because I don't know if it's just maybe because the rotation and the injuries and stuff like that with Sean Lee and whatever and that from year 2 and year 3, year 4. Well, this is year 4 now, sorry. But I'm just glad he's now back to that, because if that's one thing that we loved the most, and I can't remember what game it was, like he managed to bring down an offensive tackle and the running back. I think it was, I can't recall what game it was, but either way, but it was his lateral movement, and it's what you just said. He's that's what
flowing.
He's really he's flowing,
flowing,
That's what you want,
yeah. And for me, so far, I still don't know, but tell me what you guys think of this list. For me, so far, my official starters, and because the rest of the defense is still all up for grabs, I got Randy Gregory, Trayvon Diggs, DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously, and Micah Parsons. At the moment, everything else is still up for grabs.
Yeah, I would say for the most part. I mean, I think Brent Urban probably be one of those guys you could probably toss in
Yes,
there possibly
yes.
because he's having a great camp, and Dan Quinn and
Mm.
Mike McCarthy have spoken highly about him. But I think that the conversation between Osa and Gallimore, so there's some of these guys. There's still that little scent of competition, but for the
Question mark.
linebackers,
Yeah, yeah.
for the linebackers position, that's what I've been wanting personally. As someone who played linebacker before, is like more competition. So I think last year you kind of just knew Jalen Smith, LVE, and Sean Lee. That's all we had, right? And so right
Yeah.
now, as Graham mentioned, if you're going into a contract season, they did not sign you for an extension. They brought in a whole full of linebackers. Like, you're really going to have to fight for your reps when it comes to making an impact when it comes defensively, because we already got Keanu O'Neal out there, we got Terrell Cox out there. We have so many of these players in the linebacker position. So I think that LVE is a true competitor, and he knows what's going on right now. And that's why you're kind of seeing him kind of flash early in camp, because every opportunity is an opportunity to make sure you're going to be out there on the field on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. The moving on to the defensive backs, and we will back to the defensive line if we've got time, because we're shooting into long hours here. Not quite 24, but we're moving in.
No more 24-hour streams. It's only on draft time.
Yeah. We won't be doing that again.
Holding on by a thread.
That's where you came into play, mate. We needed you. You came in just at the right time. But let's look at the defensive backs. So first of all, Trayvon Diggs looking great, looking like the cornerback one. No arguments there. Getting hands on the ball, interceptions, just looking brilliant. The one I noticed was, and funnily enough, it was the day the Cowboys signed Hooker, was Kazee. Goes into, they were doing some drills, and the first thing I noticed, which shows you the mentality, the intelligence here, that they were in cover 3, and I think it was a cover 3 buzz. So they switched the safety and linebacker role in the cover drill, and he got the interception. But in order to do it, there was a player coming in on a slant. I think it might have been Schultz, but he had to time that perfectly, and he even got a thumbs up from Dak. I think KZ, he's not looking bad. He's looking all right so far. But for me, Kelvin Joseph, we've seen him. Man, all I've got to say is with a capital smooth, he is smooth.
Yeah. I think that's the thing about Kelvin Joseph coming into the draft and also this season, is that he's just a natural, smooth, pure athleticism. He's an athlete. And so it's just really just going to be how does he fit, because he's had a great camp thus far, and then also Nahshon Rice also had a great camp thus far. So that cornerback 2 position is going to be the position we definitely got to keep an eye on. And Anthony Brown's played decent as well. So, you just don't know who is actually going to win that job, which remains to be unseen. I think it's the same thing going into like the tight end position. It's like there's a battle, which is good, because we never really have competition when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, especially defensively. So
and especially somebody as smooth as Kelvin Joseph. Go on, Gray. I'll come back to him in a minute.
Hugely important that we managed to hit on our corners that we took in the draft, and I think the early sample sizes that we have got some talent in the door. I just want to make sure we're all on airplane mode, just to make sure. Loving some airplane mode. They're coming up with their Legion of Boom type name early on, which I love. Airplane mode is looking good.
Is the name, yeah.
We haven't had Jordan Lewis for a couple of days, and I think that's helping Anthony Brown get reps on the slot. I've seen. I think he's played a little bit in there. So we saw big days from Nahshon Wright. Bossman Sack has been in there as well. Bossman Fat, has been in there as well. So it's hugely encouraging when you consider the issues that we had from the secondary last year, to go and hit on the guys we've taken.
Yeah,
it's in the camp. We haven't played anything live yet, but it looks good so far.
No, what is good with Kelvin Joseph, what you're seeing is, I can't remember who he was up against. It might have been Malik Turner, and he tried to double move him, and he just did not bite at all. He knew what was coming, and you could see the hip movement, and he's just so low, sinking and backpedaling. And you just watch it, and you're like, man, that is just smooth. And they were even running Noah Brown, who we know is quite fast. They were sticking him on 9 routes against him, and it just was not working. Every time Kelvin Joseph backpedaling, he was on top of it.
I like that, DJ Dog. We need a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt.
That's a T-shirt. But the only other guy I want to talk about, and then we can wrap things up, a guy who's snuck completely under the radar, and I even had to go back and check on him. A guy who's having back-to-back storming camp days is Maurice Kennedy.
I was just about to say him.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Interceptions everywhere. What do you guys know about him? I know hardly anything. I had to go back today and check.
Go ahead.
Well, a guy I thought was trying to get cut in the camp originally.
Yeah.
He's making a statement, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, Maurice Kennedy, I think he came from Baltimore, but he was supposed to have slight impact last year, but he was an opt-out guy due to COVID. So he kind of he's kind of like that veteran guy, though he's still kind of green as far as the product's concerned, but he has upside ability with him. So that's something you definitely have to keep consideration because, flashing early in camp. Because I feel like going into week 1, you're going to play against Tom Brady and that great wide receiver core. You're going to need some players out there who knows what's going on. You can't just throw, Mason Wright, Bossman, Fat, and Trayvon Diggs out there versus Tom Brady. That's going to be a free lunch and a lot of cannons firing off. So I feel like you're going to have some type of veteran guy out there. And I feel like Kennedy can be that guy. I know there's also conversations about Reggie Robinson, but I would definitely keep an eye on Kennedy and how this whole secondary cornerback position is going to work because they can also get out of Anthony Brown's contract and save a few dollars with Stephen Jones' license. So who's going to be those core guys remains to be unseen, but I think Kennedy is off to a great start as well.
He's absolutely flying.
The message we constantly hear on Hard Knocks is that you're not just auditioning for your own team, you're auditioning for everybody else. Exactly. So if Kennedy can flash, even in a couple of preseason games, somebody gets an injury in their secondary, they could pick him. Even if he only makes the practice squad, somebody could easily pick up Kennedy. I think they talk about flash, and he's certainly done it. I know today, he picked off Ben DiNucci. It wasn't necessarily Dak.
Now DiNucci's out, there's a lot of high opportunities for defense players.
I was just about to say that.
But I mean, look, I went back to go and check on Maurice's stats. 32 games, 80 tackles, 63 completion rate, 0 touchdowns, and he's allowed a QBR of 74. It's not bad going.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah.
You're not gonna argue with that. But I mean. Yeah, I mean, he's had his share of injuries as well. As you said, Anthony Brown as well, not been bad either. Had a great interception on a deep ball as well. But here's a question for you, because we put a poll out this week. Who do you guys want to be cornerback 2 week 1? And the people have spoken.
I would want it to be Kelvin Joseph. I feel like with his athleticism and what he really brings, as we already mentioned, he would be the perfect candidate, but only if he's ready. I'm not ready just to give him the position because he was the 2nd round pick. But ideally, who I would like to flash and kind of start to emerge in camp and separate himself would be Kelvin Joseph. I feel like, even though Nashawn Wright has the kind of the physical statures and the measurements, I feel like Kelvin Joseph is from speed, athleticism, and instincts. He gets a lot more than what Nashawn Wright can offer. So my guy would be Boss Man Fat, as you will.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, because what you got to think of is about the Bucks, the wide receiver core they got. I mean, and Gronk as well. But go on, Gray. Who's your cornerback 2?
Yeah, I agree with Tuck. I think it's got to be Joseph, because you only have to look back to last year's draft. We got an absolute steal in Diggs in the 2nd round. We've taken on our 2nd round corner this year, and they're obviously going to drop comparison. So I think Joseph needs to have a big year. So far, he's done well, and I think if he continues on his current trajectory, he will end up with cornerback number 2. I think.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, guys, I've just kind of answered that. I mean, I did have my early concerns with Joseph and that, but he's proven so far. But whoever will be the corner week 1. Not too sure, but hopefully he can actually just continue this progression, and hopefully we will be,
I'm agreeing with you guys as well, and the people at home agree. 45% of the vote went to Bossman Fat. Yeah, and to me, do you know what he reminds me of? And it's a bit of a weird way to comp. He reminds me of Chidobe Awuzie, the way he can stick to a wide receiver's hip, but he's got that ability that for some reason Awuzie couldn't do, is locate the ball.
Right. and to be able to continue the turnovers that we got from last year defensively, it's going to be key. Yeah. Like I said, one of my shows, is turnover margin is going to be important for this team. So protect the ball and get the ball back in Dak Prescott's hands, and I feel like the Dallas Cowboys should be perfectly fine.
Yeah. And then just looking at the D-line, for me, Oso Digizua, he's looking great. There's still a lot of questions, as you already mentioned, Tak. The 3 tech and the 1 tech. But the thing that surprised me, I don't know if you guys have seen it, Quinton Bohanna, for a guy who's nearly 350 pounds, he's got some mobility to him.
Yeah, he can move. He's a big boy. There was a few plays I was watching earlier on camp before the pads came on, and Quinton Bohanna was blowing things up, and so he can really have some impact as far as things are concerned, on the defensive line interior, because we really never had that quintessential nose tech
size.
That big. I call them the fat nasties. We need someone who's big and nasty, and Quinton Bohanna is definitely that guy. And so I definitely look for him to make the roster. I would be shocked if Bohanna does not make the roster.
I'm me. Yeah,
I really want Bohanna to make the squad. As much as I loved Antoine Woods, he's always going to be my boy. And when you look at the type of interior defensive tackles that we've never really had one that had the size command that can actually bulldoze his way through. I think Gallimore can still do that, depending on what position in the interior that he's positioned at. He can cause some serious disruption. But whereas Bohanna, I can't remember how you pronounce it, but
Bohanna,
but
think Hawaii.
Right, okay then. But he's going to draw the attention anyway because of what he can do, just by natural. But what we're seeing in camp right now is oh, okay, is that what you can do? All right, let's take it up a notch.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's first guy off the bus next Thursday.
Yeah. And the argument people are making is they're saying, Bohanna, he's a 6th round pick, but I've made this argument before. Why would you draft a run stuff in nose tackle early? 6th round is about as early as I would go for that sort of player because of the limitation to their game.
Because you could have got a Marvin Wilson for undrafted free agent if that's the case. They're focusing on it for a reason, and Dan Quinn's focus is impacting the run defense first and foremost. And so you drafted Bohanna for a strict reason, and he's definitely going to be able to fill that void when you bring in him and also Brent Urban. Now you add Gallimore. I mean, the question mark, I think, for all of us is Tristan Hill, what's really going on with that situation. But as of right now, I got Bohanna on that final 53.
Yes,
and me.
100%.
I tell you what, we will get you back because we are going to do 53 roster man predictions, and we'll get you back for that one. We'll do predictions, but I think we'll have some similar defensive guys, especially as you say with Bohanna. But I mean, what we'll do is there was some other stuff, but we'll leave that till next week before we run on too long because you got Vegas to go to, man.
Vegas and Oxnard. I'll be out in Oxnard tomorrow morning, and so I'm excited to be out there in Dallas Cowboys camp. So definitely tune in. I'll be doing live coverage and all that fun stuff, and meet some of the other content creators and media personalities. So I worked with virtually, but it's kind of shake their hand and have fun. So I'm excited about that. But I got some more pulling and cooling to do, man.
So, but talking about that though, just so the people listening and know, where can they find your work and the rest of you guys? Because we've had Nick's on as well.
Yeah, I got Nick. So you can follow me on Twitter at Daytuck151. Definitely give me a follow, and then also on my YouTube channel, Cowboys Fans Only, and then also you can catch me time to time with my Star Gang family, BJ, Nix, Mariella, Professor O, and Spoonie on Wednesday nights. And then also you can go to CowboysFansOnly.com to get your merch. Got the store man. So a lot of people are buying the Parsons shirts, man. So I appreciate all the support. I appreciate you, my guys. Man, we got to work out some of this time differences. I can definitely have you on.
Yeah. Funnily enough, when we had Nick's on, we was talking, and he's saying that he's absolutely up for like a collaboration show with everybody all in one show. I was like, man, we wouldn't get off the first subject.
I know. Sometimes it was like, all right, we should go in, but that's the beauty of it. It's like, what my channel was all about was just starting for passionate Cowboys fans, that everyone have a voice and speak, and ultimately all come together and get this one goal is win the 6 championships. And I feel like right now what we currently have, we have enough in house to at least make a push and be a lot better than last year. If not, then we'll be out here in Vegas and get ready for the draft. So.
Yes, and we'll be racking up the buffets and the free cocktails.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that is for this show. What we've got. We are going to be back next week, where we look further into more camp talk, getting closer to the first game, the Hall of Fame game. But we do have to very quickly go to the sponsor of our show, which is Cowboys Experience. So their packages and their deals are up. The link as well is all on our social media, so make sure you go and check it out. And of course, don't forget to tell them UK Cowboys sent you, because if you do, what happens, Mr. Graham?
You get free stuff.
You just get some free shit. Just for saying UK Cowboys.
Right.
Just like that.
Yeah. But, mate, thank you very much, Mr. Tuck. You are guys in the Fantasy Football League with old Paul as well, so we'll see you over there.
I know, I got you last year, my man.
Man. Injuries, man. This year we're coming.
Oh, stop!
Me and Paul, we were talking because, they're talking about entrance, and we're like, all right, we'll do it. It's all for the fun. It's a content creation league, so we'll keep it going. But we'll speak to you over there, mate. Enjoy Vegas, and
mate. Just before Tuck goes, I just bought the T-shirt. There you go.
Appreciate you, my guy. Parsons game. See ball, get ball, man. I appreciate you. I toured the Raiders Stadium yesterday.
I seen your pictures,
and of course I had my Parsons stuff on. There's a few Eagles fans kind of touring with us and kind of gave them some dirty looks, man. But their stadium's phenomenal, but it's still not AT&T Stadium.
It does look good, the stadium, and it's very typical that you've got to have gold and all the rest of it. It's in Vegas, so it makes sense. There is a proper casino in the stadium as well.
Yeah, so they in a nightclub. So they pretty much just took Jerry Jones' blueprint and they kind of just scribbled out a few things.
Vegas did that.
But the cool thing, they had like when we went to the locker room, they had a hologram. Like John Gruden came down and gave us a pregame speech, and all the technology thing, and the two guys can control everything, stuff like that. But
nice.
Jerry laid the blueprint, so it's not AT&T. Plus, our stadium is pretty big. I think there's only holds 65,000, I think, or so. But it's not very true.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a giant ass TV hanging off.
It does not. It does not. It does not have the Jumbotron. Not even close. I think it had three of them, but they're small ones.
Mate, well, thank you very much for joining us. I know that you're really wanting to get away because it's like lunchtime where you are now. So we'll let you crack on. We'll share all your stuff tomorrow as well when you're in Oxnard, and we'll come. We'll shoot you a message to say hello. So enjoy it, have fun, and from myself, from Paul Graham, and of course Cowboys Fans Only, go follow them. Yes, we'll see you all next week, guys.
Have a good one.
See you next time. See you guys.